A brief message from your friendly neighborhood editing Jordan. We tend to try to keep things pretty PG-13 around here, but this is an improv podcast. So, who knows what we're going to say. Sometimes we throw in some swearing, some sexual content, and some violence. So, as a general warning, viewer discretion is advised. Also to be noted, the opinions stated about a certain tabletop role-playing game are just that, our opinions. We love the game and we like talking about it. So, any criticisms are really just all in good fun. That being said, wizards, please hire us. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on with the show.
Wait, no, I got it now. There we go. There was not a second other button. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like a forehead.
Levi's framing right now is very funny.
Yeah.
Feels like something you'd see in an esoteric game where it's just like, this is the great god, and it's just like...
half the face.
Ask her the first question.
Exactly. What did I see? I saw something, Chaska in Genshin. I was reading one of her lore snippets, and it said, like, the arbiter of final judgment or something, and I was like,
That
calm
goes
down,
hard.
she wears spats. I was like...
They said it was final, not a good judgment.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to the Nat One Podcast, aka Nope, because nope, you're not gonna want to hear what we're about to have to say. I'm Pertuset.
I'm Levi.
And I'm Jordan.
But yeah. Anyway, welcome everybody to December.
Green.
It is in fact December.
You know what that means. New year, new us.
New green.
New series. Because it's 2025.
Not yet. You
Not
still
yet.
got a month.
Nope. We're in the last.
I go by the other calendar.
If you can tell me which one that is, I'll let you have it.
Munster?
What?
That's a cheese.
That's a place. Excuse you. That's
Munster? That's a cheese. I know it's named after a place,
it's
but it's
named
also a cheese.
after the location of Munster
I'm
in
fully
Ireland.
aware, but I think of the cheese before I think of the place because
Listen,
I like
listen.
cheese.
I'm just gonna tell you that I completely meant the one you said, okay?
The television show?
Now continue infighting, and I stay on top. No.
No, you can't play both sides on this one, bud. We're on to
Dang
you.
Dang it.
We are still, in fact, in 2024.
Yes.
Just so everyone's
We're not recording this from the future.
on
Just
the same page.
pretend like this is an episode in 2025 because it's a new series, and I feel like it's more poetic that way.
I'm not gonna pretend.
No.
Why don't you announce what the new series is? Penny.
It's called Building. It's called
Character
Character
Forge.
Forge.
We've done this
Yeah.
a little bit on the podcast before, where we've taken this concept and like assigned fictional characters D&D builds, but this time we're making it an official series.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did too many based on holidays, and now we were like, well, how are
Yes.
we going to keep doing it without holidays, without repeating ourselves? Because Jordan won't let me do the Founding Fathers for 4th of July.
It's just a bad idea.
Listen, I have ideas, but if I say them, there's going to be a red
The
dot on the
haters,
back of
the
my
haters
head.
will know
Well, I
too
feel like
much.
you
The
can't
ha-
have a bunch of dynamic characters if it's all that, like, they all did the same thing.
You don't know! You don't know what I can do with them!
Also, they didn't all do the same thing, but
Anyway,
Shh, you're ruining my point.
this time, you know, we're pretty hip, we're pretty trendy, awfully young. We're gonna cover what all the kids are talking about. Wicked.
There's a new John Wick movie?
No, it's
Oh,
the
I
past
wish.
tense of wick. Wicked.
We're talking about Wicked, if that wasn't evident.
I was gonna try to come up with some word that was like a synonym for wicked, but my brain couldn't think of one fast enough.
Bad.
Malevolent.
That one's too long.
Maleficent.
Maleficent.
Also a play on the word malevolent, but okay. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about Wicked, the movie that just came out that's based on, well, okay, wait. Wicked is a movie based on a musical, based on a book, based on a movie, based on a series of books.
It's also an organization from the Maze Runner.
And it's
Less important.
also a triple X website as
True.
It was on
determined
the
by
back
it
of
being
the
on the
Wicked toy
boxes.
promotionals.
So true.
So all I'm gonna
Somebody got
say,
fired.
subtle foreshadowing, my character build's gonna probably look a lot different from your guys's.
That's what you were going off of. That was your resource for your
Mhm.
researching.
Yeah. That's why I did it late at night after we all got off the phone call together.
Uh-huh.
I see.
Leaving that bit really quickly. Everybody, background. What do you know about Wicked?
Nothing. I
The Green Lady is evil and bad,
She's not.
um
That's the entire point of the musical.
and everyone should hate her.
I know it's from Wizard of Oz. I know the central character is the Wicked Witch of the West.
That's a poster
And
of the
she's
original Broadway cast of Wicked
evil
right there.
Mm.
because she's wicked
And green, and we don't
and
like things that are
green.
different from us.
No.
Yep, that's the plot of the movie. If you can't tell by my excitement, I have not seen the movie yet, unfortunately, because our movie theater is renowned for having horrible sound quality, leaving the lights on during showings, and being infested with bed bugs. But I have seen the Wicked musical twice on stage, and I've been obsessed with it since I was a very young child. The audio audience cannot see the video, but I have a Wicked shrine over in the corner of my room.
Yeah, but the musical's pretty fire.
It's
I
awesome.
I don't know the plot, but I imagine it is very much don't hate Green Lady because she's green. She's actually nice. Which is
Kind
tired, but it
of.
also did it earlier.
Well, yeah,
So
it did it earlier, and it's less don't hate the Green Lady. It's here's why everybody hates the Green Lady.
Yep.
It's more of an examination into like the social climate of Oz, as well as like the propaganda. I can't speak today. The propaganda
mhm.
machine perpetuated by the wizard. That was a hard
Mm,
phrase to say.
that sounds like anti-Oz's sentiment to me, Jordan.
True. I might have to report you to the.
The wizard.
I'm trying to think of a thing from 1984.
The Bureau of Wizardly Conduct.
True. If it makes you feel any better, though, I read 1984 lauded as a piece of like social satire and commentary, and I was like, man, this stinks. I've heard this same plot better in Ratchet and Clank. So with with that out of the way, but I do
Oh.
think the musical would be dope because I love musicals and I love music. Music makes me less critical of things.
It's a very cool musical. It was renowned for its time. It was actually a little bit of Tony drama whenever it came out because it dropped the same year that Avenue Q came out. And Avenue Q actually beat it in the Tonys, and it was very divisive because both are excellent musicals for different reasons.
Hmm.
But Wicked had incredible costuming, not even for the time, just the costumes still hold up because the costuming in Wicked is amazing. The set design, the main feature of the set is this giant clockwork dragon constructed on the proscenium, that is the dragon of time, and the entire set is like clockworky steampunk as you're kind of watching the events unfold from the past through the end of what we know is the Wizard of Oz story.
Hmm.
So
It's
that's
very
that.
cool.
As being someone who has seen the stage production myself, I will say, even for as much as like, it's not that I dislike stage productions, but I do think that like some are overhyped. Um, I did like Wicked a lot. It was a very, very good production when I saw it,
It's
which was
excellent.
years ago at this point, but
Anyway, so this being our beta episode, our pilot episode, the rules were pretty loose because we'd established it late at night at like midnight last night.
Mhm.
We finished playing
Um,
D&D and went, oh shit, we got to film a podcast tomorrow.
yeah.
Yep.
So the rules are pretty loose. We've since established them, but it's kind of hard to then suddenly make characters. So, the rules are as thus. We're going to make characters up to level 10. We didn't actually talk about this beforehand, but I have done it to where there's no homebrew content, and I'm exclusively also using 5e content.
That is what I
Um,
did as well.
But
Yeah,
I'm
same.
also doing expanded 5e, so I'm not just doing like Player's Handbook. I've been doing all the books.
So we all accidentally followed the same rules without communicating with each other.
Good. We also did, at least Levi and I did standard array for the stats. But that's a pretty easy one to just plug in anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's about it as far as rules go. Until it's pertinent, I don't think we're gonna do an inventory, because
Not really. I mean, there are a couple of signature items, but honestly, for the characters in Wicked, it's more like what is their spellcasting focus?
yeah. Um, so yeah, I guess that's about it, at least for now. With that in
So if we
mind,
have time at the end, I would like to go through my Galinda build just because
I was
I
gonna say
did end up
Jordan went
liking
for
it.
extra credit.
I built two. I got excited.
Um, but yeah, moving forward, we were talking about it. We're going to try to make it to where we do multiple characters from one source. So in the future, it would be something where one of us does the green lady, the other does Galinda, and the last one does the monkey.
Chistery.
The
Did not know they
Scarecrow.
had a name.
Well, no, the monkey's name is Chistery. And yes, Fiero would also be a good character to
Yeah.
build.
I would love to have done those three, but oh well.
There's still
The
time. Pause the recording.
Nope.
monkey! There's actually probably not. There's
Mm-mm. I
We'll
think
do
that's
that
it.
for Wicked
So,
Part 2.
as mentioned, I had like zero experience except for what I knew from Wizard of Oz and then prowling forums at 1 in the morning.
We could, in fact, do another one of these when part 2 of Wicked comes out and just do characters that aren't the Wicked
True.
Probably.
Witch of the West.
That's probably what we will do.
Next year, that would probably be a good idea whenever the new one drops.
Yeah.
Especially because then, I mean, spoilers for a 20-year-old musical. At that point, we could do Fiero / the Scarecrow, because at that point he would be Scarecrowified, as well as the
It's
Tin Man
that
would appear.
old?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Scarecrow? Like from Batman?
Yeah.
No, like from The Wizard of Oz.
No, like
Who?
from Batman, he has fear gas.
Well, I mean, we all have fear gas. But anyway. uh,
On with the character building.
actually, Jordan, first, could you, since I believe you're the most knowledgeable, could you give an outline to the audience of the character at, I suppose, pretty much at their peak?
At their peak? Okay, so in this movie, we don't see her necessarily at her peak. We see her like kind of moving towards that point, and then defying gravity is kind of her coming into her own a little bit. So the Wicked Witch of the West is actually named Elphaba Throp. At the beginning of the movie, she is a student at Shiz University. She is studying sorcery under the tutelage of Madame Morrible, who is a storm sorceress. And so Elphaba has had inherent magical abilities since she was young. She can't really control them all that well. They come and go with fits of emotion, especially very heightened instances. There are a couple of moments that we see throughout the first act of the stage show, as well as what I'm aware, the first movie. They kept a couple of those moments in where she loses control of her powers. She doesn't necessarily hurt anybody, but it does kind of like impede other people from interacting with her. Towards the end of the first act of Wicked, which is the end of this movie, she does start to develop some powers of like transmogrification. A lot of what she ends up doing is like she ends up giving the monkeys wings at the end of this movie. Again, spoilers for a 20-year-old musical, she does end up turning Fiero, her like secret boyfriend lover, into the Scarecrow after he's beaten half to death. She turns another person into the Tin Man, and she also is the one that enchants the ruby slippers. So she's got a little bit of enchantment magic. Most of what she does is like transmutation-ish. So yeah, that's mostly her skill set, is like undefined magic, but she definitely finds herself in the niche of altering her reality a little bit.
Dang. So there you go. Now, who wants to go first and say what they did? Other than Jordan.
Oh. I can go first.
Yeah, go right ahead, Levi.
Levi built a fighter.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no. Okay. So I started with the Wicked Witch of the West. And I was like, oh, clearly she'll be a sorcerer because she's had magic her whole life. So it makes sense for her to be a sorcerer, right? But then I was building her, and I was like trying to incorporate things from the story that I personally remembered while also having a plot synopsis next to me because it's been many years since I've watched the show, so I was also looking at that at the same time. And I was like, but she goes to school for magic. And that's where she learns a little bit. She does, in fact, learn more about magic at school. It's not just like she's only drawing from her own innate magical power. So maybe she's not a sorcerer, or maybe she's a multiclass. But I didn't like a multiclass between a sorcerer and wizard because I didn't feel like it fit because I felt like she would have only been one level of sorcerer and like 9 levels of wizard. So instead, what I went for is she's a variant human because she's green, so she's variant. And her feat is meta magic initiate or adept. I forget which one it's called.
Adept.
Adept. So that is like showing that she has innate magical power is from her meta magic adept being her feat that she had before she even had her class attached to her. Um, and then through the events of Wicked, when she learns magic at school, that gives her her wizard class, which has the subclass of transmutation, because obviously, as we've gone over, most of her story involves her changing things and people into other things, transmuting them, changing them around, that kind of stuff. Um, I gave her now. We've been over this. We have several episodes about the backgrounds in D&D. It's not the easiest thing to apply a D&D background to her based off of her story because one, there's a massive time jump in the plot where the beginning shows how Elphaba was conceived, and then it jumps to her being a young woman at university. So we don't really know like what her life was like in between that. So I just picked based off of the fact that everyone hates her for her skin color, that she's an urchin. But that's the thing is like I don't really think she would have been an urchin per se. I don't think she would have been like out on the street because she does end up getting into a magic school. So I just thought that that was a close approximation of like you're ostracized, people don't like you, you're different, and people look down upon you. Um, I wasn't really thinking about like the abilities you get from the backgrounds. One, because people really never use them, but the ability doesn't really make sense because it's she knows the secret pattern and flow of cities and can find passages through the urban sprawl. I don't really think that fits with her. I just felt like urchin was the best for like you're an ostracized person in society. Um, because yeah, they don't really have like for understandable reason, they don't have anything worse than that in the case of you're ostracized from society.
Yeah.
So that's my reasoning for that. I also gave her another feat. I gave her one ASI for her intelligence because she's an intelligence caster. I should probably lay that out what I did for my standard array. So her strength is 8. Her dex is 10. Her con is 12. Her intelligence is 18. Her wisdom is 13. And her charisma is 15. Because what I'm thinking is this is like this Elphaba we've made here is like the Elphaba at the end of the first act or the end of the first movie where she's not quite full power Wicked Witch of the West yet, so that's why like I don't think she necessarily should have a 20 in intelligence yet, but she's getting there. But also for the other feat, I gave her again, more so I was going for like the flavor of it rather than the actual what it gives you. I gave her Prodigy because in the production, that's her whole thing is like she's really good at magic, even though she doesn't really know how to control it super well, and she becomes like this rising star because of how good she is at magic at the school and all that. So I gave her Prodigy. And then I just gave her through Prodigy some proficiencies that I thought would have made sense. So I gave her Insight because, spoilers, she's the one who figures out that the Wizard of Oz is actually like a bad person. So I gave her Insight proficiency. I gave her Alchemist Supplies proficiency because, I don't know, witch brew potions. I don't know. And then I gave her intimidation because I was going on the fact of like, oh, now she's becoming like the Wicked Witch of the West. Like she might not actually be evil, but that's like the what's the word I'm looking for? The connotation that people are giving to her. So I gave her proficiency in intimidation because people are like afraid of just the presence of her being around, right? And then she can speak Infernal too. I had to pick a language, so I just picked Infernal because that's not really like a thing. There's not really like everyone just kind of speaks in English in Oz. So yeah,
Oslish.
Oslish.
Hated that.
Um, and then I suppose what would be left is spells, which I picked over the course of us talking before I was selected to do mine first because I hadn't picked spells yet.
I didn't pick
So,
spells either. You're good.
for her cantrips, I just picked stuff that I figured would be like general, easy cantrips to have for anyone who's cast spells. So I gave her a firebolt, I gave her light, I gave her mage hand. But then I gave her Witch Bolt at first level because it has witch in the name, so she has to have Witch Bolt because she's a witch. And then I tried to give her things based off of my vague remembrance of what she does in both Wicked and The Wizard of Oz. But it hit and miss sometimes, I think, because there were some things that I was like, I vaguely feel like she might have done this, but I'm not sure. So I gave her Skywrite, even though I'm not sure if she actually ever like wrote any messages in the sky or anything, but I feel like
In
that's
Wizard of
something
Oz, she does.
she does. Okay. See, I thought I remembered that for some reason,
Yep,
and
in
I
the
was
Wizard of Oz,
like,
she does.
okay, so I gave her Skywrite. I gave her Spider Climb, not necessarily because she does that, but just because I thought it's like a ooh, creepy Spider Climb. Wicked Witch of the West can do that. I gave her Fly for obvious reasons. I gave her now. This one's a little bit of a stretch. I gave her Phantom Steed because wizards don't get summon steed like paladins do. So she doesn't technically the Phantom Steed has to look like a horse, but I figured we could be a little liberal with it and say like no, because what I was going for is it's her broom. It's her special cool flying broom that she has. That's her steed. Um, which if it was Summon Steed, it just could be that because you can like choose what it is if you have Summon Steed. But no, Phantom Steed's different because Wizard. Anyways, then I gave her Arcane Eye. I also wanted to, but just didn't click it in time. I wanted to give her Scrying, but Arcane Eye and Scrying were for the same reason because it's like she's looking at people from afar. She's doing that. Again, that was one of the things that was like I feel like I vaguely remember her doing that, but I'm not sure. Um, I gave her Blight just because like hurt people with blight, evil, wicked. But again, more of my spell stuff was informed by the Wizard of Oz rather than Wicked itself, except for the last one that I picked before I ran out of time, which was the one that I knew I was gonna pick, so I just waited to save it for the end, which is Polymorph, because as we've been over, she changes people constantly in the production. She changes the monkeys into the flying monkeys. She changes her boyfriend into the scarecrow. She changes a guy into the Tin Man. She's polymorphing people left and right in Wicked. So I also wanted to like look for some spell that perhaps caused melting just to have like a bit of irony there, but I couldn't find anything specifically. Disintegrate kind of would have been similar, but not really, because you turn them into ash instead of melting them. So like, I was gonna put that in there too and be like, ha ha ha, get it? Because she melts.
It's a reference.
But I didn't. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
That's mine.
That's it?
I mean, I suppose I could also read off the specific proficiencies, but that would be the last thing.
No.
Okay.
All right, my turn. Yeah, I had no idea, man. I've never seen this before. Where to start? I guess I'll start with species and class. So, she's a witch. I don't know anything about how her bringing up was or why she's green. but because she's a witch, I went with Hexblood, custom lineage. I don't know if that works or not, but that's the witchiest thing I could think of. Um, Class, I fell for the trap that Levi outlined earlier. I made her a sorcerer wizard multi-class, but I made
Mm.
her sorcerer 2 wizard 8. Um, Again, this was solely with the amount of research I could do by last night. It said that her magic gets wacky at times, and Jordan also said that, and it makes things difficult for people at times. So I made her a wild magic sorcerer because I was
That
like,
was
that's
what I
fitting.
did before I axed sorcerer. I made her a wild magic sorcerer.
Guys, we all made the same character.
Good, that's good. That means we've come
We
to
are
a
all on the same
consensus.
page.
If you play it the other way, then you're wrong because three
Yes.
people have independently come to this
That's,
conclusion.
I was holding my tongue while Levi was doing this because I was like, dang, it's kind of similar to what I did. And now you're saying we made the same character with just different, like, minor specification differences.
Good. That means we all did it. Now here's the thing though. I did not know about her ability to manipulate things. I did not know she was a transmogrifier, a transmutator. Um, my research was telling me that she has like visions and the ability to see things in like the future or far away.
That's more from the book, but technically correct.
Okay, because I made her School of Divination wizard based on
Interesting.
that.
It is kind of difficult because she is just being put in Wicked into the general box of she's a sorcerer slash wizard who can do all this magic stuff. So like she doesn't have really a subclass in
Yeah.
Wicked. She kind of can just do all of it. So that is where a problem sort of arises there.
It's just Hollywood does not like to get into the specifics of
Yeah.
magic. They just say magic.
Mm-hmm.
That's the end of it. But that's okay because Wizards did the same thing with this because they said Wizards magic. They have subclasses, but they don't matter.
Yep.
So there's that. And then another thing I read, and I think this was from the movie, so spoilers, but also spoilers in general for this entire episode, I feel like. But I also don't know if this is from the movie, so maybe not spoilers. I gave her the feat telekinetic because it said that in the movie she moves things with her mind. That's their depiction of just magic at times. So, like apparently she gets freaked out at one point and basically goes on like a magic rage, and she like explodes things away with her mind, which seemed very Hollywood magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, sure. So I gave her the telekinetic feat. Trying to see what else I got. Oh, okay. Background time. I found one, and I don't believe this was homebrew because I didn't allow that in my rules. I found one called Ruined,
Oh,
and it says as follows: You have weathered ruinous misfortune, and you possess hidden reserves others don't expect.
Dang.
I feel like that's more like her because she's like, I think
I
the
would
whole
have used
moral.
that if I saw it, but I didn't.
I feel like the central tenet of Wicked, if I had to guess, is that like she undergoes hardship, but she's stronger for it, kind of thing. Even if it means she has to cut off her loved ones, type beat. Um, and yeah, that gives her a feat. It's a really wicked cool background, actually. I didn't even mean to. I didn't even mean to. So yeah, I gave her the skilled feat through that. It could have been alert, skilled, or tough, and I was really bouncing between tough and skilled, but I needed more proficiencies, so I went with skilled. So yeah, that's that. I think that's it. Then I'll get the spells. I will say, because I want to bring it up as well for languages, she's got Common, Oslish.
mhm.
And then I gave her Sylvan, again, which moment. And then the other one, which I thought was really funny, is I gave her Hadozi.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah,
that's the
if I would've
language of a
thought
flying
about it.
monkey. That's
If I would have thought
That's
about it, I would have
right.
gave her like gnomish and
true.
for the munchkins for the...
Oh, okay. Now on to spells. Oh, stats, actually, stats first.
Hmm.
So I again, I have no idea what feats she has in the movie or in the musical. I just kind of went off of vibes. So with standard array and then a mixture of ASIs and the custom lineage boost, I got her a 10 in strength, because I don't think she has any feats of strength, a 12 in dex, just because, an 8 in con. My reason for that being that she melts at water. Uh,
She doesn't.
she did in the original.
She fakes
Um,
it in Wicked.
Oh, okay. The truth of the future subvents the truth of the past.
Mhm.
Then I gave her a 20 in intelligence, again with a lot of ASIs. 14 in wisdom, 14 in charisma, because I figured no matter what, her mental stats were probably higher than her physical stats. But I don't know. Maybe she's like jacked underneath that black robe. But yeah, then spells. Let's see here. We got Acid Splash. Uh. I saw somewhere that apparently she displays fire magic at points. So I took that for everything. So she has control flames, she has dancing lights, she has firebolt.
Now that you say that, I thought I picked Fireball, but I just don't see it in the list. So I must have
Oops.
just accidentally I meant to pick Fireball for it because I remembered that being a
Mhm.
thing.
I picked Mage Hand just because with a multi-class, I had a lot of cantrips because you get like 4 for each class. I picked Mage Hand again. Oh wait, no, I got that from Telekinetic. Um, I took Message because part of me feels like I recall her like psychically sending a message to someone to threaten them from Wizard of Oz, but maybe I'm making that up in my head. I feel like it's not out of the realm of her possibility either way. I took Minor Illusion. I took Prestidigitation just because it was more simple magic. Again, I went off the theme of I saw somewhere that she had telekinesis stuff, so I gave her Catapult, the spell, with the idea that she would just throw something
Hmm.
with magic. I gave her Detect Magic. I gave her Featherfall. Um, Find Familiar for a little monkey man. Mage Armor, because why not? Shield, same reason. Am I crazy? Is it not implied that like nobody can help Dorothy in Wizard of Oz, even though there's several other magical figures in Wizard of Oz?
Yes.
Okay, so my reasoning when I went through this was like she must be a relatively skilled magician, like fighting other magic users. So that's why I gave her Mage Armor and Shield.
That's fair, I think.
I gave her Sleep because of the Poppy Field.
Yeah, yeah.
I gave her Witch Bolt, same reason as Levi's.
It's got witch in
Um,
the name. It's good.
yep. I gave her Pyrotechniques because again I read somewhere she uses fire. Gave her Levitate because that's her broom. I would have given her Fly, but that's a creature. Levitate is not a creature. No, wait, yes it is. No, or object. Okay, I'm good. Fly is not an object. I gave her Catnap for more of the poppies. I gave her Fear because I don't know, her nose looks ugly.
Wow.
Dang.
Not apologetic. Fireball. I gave her Glyph of Warding, and my idea for that was the poppy field.
Hmm.
You just went all in on the
Oh,
poppies.
that's
I went
where
all
it
in on the
is.
poppies.
It's unprepared. It's an unprepared spell. I do have
Yeah.
Fireball and also Fear. And
There
I
you go.
also picked Fear. Although I
Now,
don't know if it was for the same reason.
you won't be ready for this one. I took Hypnotic Pattern because of the poppy field.
Because of the poppy. Because
Could never have guessed.
Sending, because once again, I feel like I recalled somewhere that she telepathically communicated with someone over a long distance, but maybe I'm wrong. Why does this have a 4th level spell slot used? This is not a played character. What? Okay. Is that it? Oh, and Skywrite. Yeah, it's all my spells. And then I also made her proficient in vehicles land because she uses a bicycle. There was not vehicles air, or else I would have given her that.
hmm.
Valid.
Precisely.
I'm gonna have to go watch The Wizard of Oz after this.
I'm in the mood now.
Oh.
That's all I got. I did the best I
Okay.
could.
Well,
Okay, wait. I'm
let's
going
hear
through.
from
I
the
was
expert.
putting all of my shit into a character sheet that I just had written down, and I'm looking at spells right now.
You're out of time, Jordan.
It's
I
out
know
of time.
I'm
You
out of
gotta go.
time.
I went when I was
Okay.
out of time, Jordan. You gotta
I
go.
know, I'm going. Okay, so going through the basics, we all made the same fucking character. So I also did the same, similar to what Pertuset did. I did a multi-class between sorcerer and wizard. Mine was a 3-7 split, so I had 3 in
That's
wild magic and then 7 in transmutation wizard.
Crazy that we went 1-9 split,
We
2-8
yeah,
split, 3-7 split.
we all
Yes.
we're all on the same page.
1, 2, 3, baby.
And then I went down the route of, instead of making her a variant human, I made her a tiefling. So
okay.
yeah, so I made her a tiefling because she's green. Also, like
Dang.
Levi mentioned, we have the scene of like Elphaba's conception. And so since like the nature of tieflings, I thought that kind of fit a little bit, especially since like tieflings
Yeah,
stick out a
I could
lot in
see
the
it.
D&D
I could see it.
universe. And so since there's not exactly, the wizard is a fraud and the wizard is her dad, but there's a reason that she's magic, and it's partially because of something the wizard did, maybe implied, roofied her mom, whole thing.
No, it's just like
So that's
Ginzo.
where I got the
Upstanding man, Jordan. He's the leader of all of the land of Oz. How could
Oh
you
yes,
say
I'm
such a
sorry.
thing
Jeff
about him?
Goldblum, I apologize.
I forgot
But
that Jeff
anyway,
Goldblum plays him in the movie.
Mhm.
because of the green elixir, I'm going to say that made her a tiefling because we have precedent for some weird tiefling shenanigans in D&D lore. That also gives her fire resistance. So that goes into her little flame control thing. Also, it's a horrible joke because in The Wizard of Oz, Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch of the West, accidentally caught on fire on the set of The Wizard
That's
of Oz.
right.
And so I gave her fire resistance. I'm
Crazy.
sorry, Margaret Hamilton. But yeah, she's resistant to fire. And I'm trying to think of what else. For her background, I chose Sage because she is shown to be quite a good student at her time at Shiz, because she is a prodigy when studying magic under Madame Morrible, but she is shown to be very diligent in her studies. She's called a bit of a bookworm, criticized on top of being green for also being a little bit of a nerd and a little bit of a know-it-all. So I thought that that fit for her to be quite bookish. Moving into spells, I was kind of looking at the spell list right now and kind of going through some stuff. Right now we're gonna go through, I had like mostly the cantrips fully nailed down. Oh, I did give her a couple of feet, I think just 1 feat. I gave her ritual caster, because during the second act, this doesn't really apply to the first act of Wicked, there's a book called The Grimoire. Post-production Jordan cutting in for a moment on top of Podcast Jordan to correct Podcast Jordan. The book is called The Grimoire, not The Grimoire. I should know this. I've been a theater kid my entire life. Carry on. And that becomes her spell book, and a lot of the spell work that she does is not like what we think of the classic D&D 6-second getting off a spell. A lot of it is chanting and ritual, and it's written in a language that nobody can read, and so she is the one that's like reciting these words, trying to make sense of them and trying to figure out what any of this means and how to apply any of the spell work practically. She speaks Common, Deep Speech, Infernal, and Primordial. I was kind of going with the like nobody else being able to read the grimoire. Like
There's a
kind of like,
grimoire?
I just explained what the grimoire was.
What?
It's her spell book.
Oh.
Nobody else can read the grimoire, and so that's where I kind of went with like the demonic and devilish languages, again going into the tiefling thing, and nobody being able to read it, and also the book being thought of as kind of evil. It's kept on lockdown by Morrible and Oz, just until they hand it over to Elphaba to be like, hey, put wings on this monkey. And then she freaks out because it hurts the monkey when she puts wings on the monkey.
Wait.
This hurts the monkey.
It does.
She's green?
No.
I don't like her anymore. No.
And so going through some spells, I didn't have exactly a theme. I was just kind of pulling powers from all the different Wizard of Oz source levels, and I also don't have... Oh, I actually do have a couple from each level, so that's okay. So for cantrips, I have Chill Touch, Control Flames, Frostbite, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Prestidigitation, Shape Water, and Thaumaturgy. Because whenever her, what we're going to call her wild magic surges, she does do a little bit of like obscuring. We talked about her with like the fog in the sky and everything like that. I thought Shape Water worked because she does not melt. She fakes her death, and the whole melting to water is propaganda spread by the wizard. So I thought Shape Water worked because she does fake her death and escape through a trapdoor at the end of the show. Along that same line, I had Absorb Elements as one of her first level spells, going into like more of the fire resistance and also her not melting. I also picked Chaos Bolt, again with the wild magic type beat. Detect Magic, Find Familiar for Chistry. Fog Cloud, which was my take on the skywriting. And then what else did I have? Darkness, which is an Infernal Legacy thing. Hellish Rebuke, of course. I picked Vortex Warp just for funsies because Vortex Warp is cool. What else did I have? Is that all I picked? She also has Polymorph as like part of her class. I didn't go through like the class spells, and
there is a special thing at level 10 that transmutation wizards get concerning polymorph, but I forget what it is.
Yeah, and I don't see it because I multi-classed, and so I didn't get to like full level 10 wizard.
Shape Changer. At 10th level, you add the polymorph spell to your book if it's not already. Oh my gosh, if it's not there already, you can cast it without expending a spell slot. When you do so, you can target only yourself and transform it into a beast whose challenge rating is 1 or lower. Okay, so not quite exact, but kinda.
Really?
Oh, that's what I don't know how to play a wizard, and I'm looking at a wizard character sheet. I also put on there Hideous Laughter, Levitate, Locate Object, Pyrotechnics, Clairvoyance, and Fear. I thought Locate Object was a good idea because she's really honed in on trying to find those ruby slippers, even though she can't do anything about it. Because she does have some kind of eye on those pretty much all the time. And then Clairvoyance, because she's shown in Wizard of Oz to have like the crystal ball.
Yeah, I think I had those as unprepared spells as well, because I remember taking Locate Object.
Yeah.
But I didn't prepare them. Not for her. I imagine this was her
guys.
before. I know. I can't believe it.
We were all on the same page. Yeah, I was trying to temper it between like this is her at the end of Defying Gravity, not her at the end of Act 2 after everything.
She is green.
She is green.
She do be green.
And none of us picked Orc.
No, none of us picked Orc, no.
That would have been the
well, because
obvious.
she's very much a human, I think, in Wicked. It's just that she looks different. So everyone's like, weird, green.
Human. I think you mean Osman.
No. I didn't go through my stats. My stats didn't differ very much from the lineup of everybody else. The only thing I gave her, I think Dex is her second highest just because of the broom tricks that she pulls. I thought that was fitting. So Intelligence and Dex are her 2 top. And then Charisma and Strength are her 2 lowest.
We had a little bit of variation in the stats. We all picked the same highest one, but the other ones we kind of mixed around.
There you have it. Now, what would have happened as we got to level 20? I don't know. We're not going to find out. That's up to you.
The homebrew melting feat, where if a drop of water ever touches you, you die. And
you fake die, but then I don't know what happens after that because I haven't gotten that far.
Well, mine's from the Wizard of Oz continuity. She just dies.
Oh.
Actually, in the book, she also dies. It's a change for the musical that she doesn't die and she runs off with the Scarecrow.
Oh.
They had to give her a happy ending.
Yep, they gave her a happy ending for the musical, but in the book, she does die, and then there's a second book called Son of a Witch, where her bastard son, who is implied to be the son of the Scarecrow, who is not the Scarecrow in the book, that was also a musical change, is just Fiyero in the book.
Interesting.
But yeah, she has a child who is heavily implied to be with Fiyero, who is married.
Well,
And
honestly,
she
I
takes
mean,
over his castle.
I know that The Wizard of Oz is a very, very old IP, but I actually like the musical's change because it did seem stupid that this powerful witch just died by having a bucket of water dumped on her.
Mhm.
So now I'm torn because I did
No,
like that change.
yeah, I love the musical. The book is really weird. Like and that's I saw somebody talking, it was either on Twitter or TikTok, somebody was talking about the canon event Wicked came out this year, so every musical theater loving child is going to get a copy of Wicked the book and their parents are going to regret it. Because the book of Wicked is so messed up and weird compared to the musical. Like the musical is like has its darker moments, but it's a stage musical. There's a happy ending. It's fine. They don't have people having sex with a tiger on stage. Like, yeah. The book is bizarre. And also in the book there is precedent for her melting because she actually is allergic to water.
Oh,
She's like her tears burn her.
oh,
It's documented that she bathes in oil instead of water because she can't touch water. Yeah, it's a whole thing. There's also again tiger sex scene. Something happens during that because
Buffer and Thuckatash.
yeah. But yeah, the Book of Wicked is very different from the musical, and I honestly much prefer the musical.
I
I gotta
cannot
read this
speak.
book.
And then
I
the
cannot
Oz books are
speak.
also very strange, but in a different way.
The haters will get me if I speak, so I cannot speak.
Oh,
Yeah. But,
He
good to
hasn't
who
read the book.
I haven't read anything.
He's
I read
forget
some of the
everything you
book
know.
when I was younger.
Easy. Um, all I can say is congratulations to The
Yeah,
Wizard of Oz for coming out a long time ago and getting the cred as being one of the first movies of all time.
yeah.
Mhm.
True. It was
And
wasn't it like the first American color movie?
It was one
Wasn't
of the
that a big
first
thing?
it was one of the first Technicolor movies, and it was the first one to utilize it in such an integral way.
Because it went from being black and white to color when she got to Oz, so that's why it
yeah,
was like,
And fun
whoa.
fact about that transition was actually practical. They had a body double for Judy Garland,
They
and so the
actually
interior of the
painted everyone
house.
black and white.
No, they did. The interior of the house was painted in sepia tones, and they had a body double for Judy Garland who was dressed in the like gray and brown gingham dress that she's
Oh
shown in the
wow.
beginning of the movie with like obviously made up to look. And so that's who opens the door, and they had Judy behind the camera to come around in the vibrant blue dress with Toto in the
Wow.
basket through the door. One of my
Huh.
favorite practical effects.
I mean, back then they kind of had to do it because you
Oh, I know, but practical
can't.
is always better. That also
uh,
makes me happy about the Wicked movie. Again, I have not seen it yet. I desperately want to see it. But from all of the interviews and like behind the scenes stuff, a lot of it was practical, and that makes my theater and film nerd heart very, very happy.
I heard it was pretty decent. So
I've heard it's excellent. Again, our movie theater is terrible, and so I have not gotten the chance to see it yet.
fair.
I don't know.
All right, well,
You at home, go watch Wicked yourselves. Let us know
I'm
how
gonna
our
make
builds
the Tin
are.
Man next week.
Oh, I'm gonna make the Tin Man into a man, if you know what I'm saying, next week.
What?
But yeah, let us know in the comments down below if you liked our builds. Which build did you like the best? What would you have changed? What does your build look like? And stay tuned for the next time.
Where
Happy
we tell you you're wrong and
2025.
bad and stupid.
True, we will do that. Happy Wicked, everyone.
Hey, we hope you enjoyed the episode you just listened to. If you really like our content, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications on YouTube, and look for us on Spotify. If you'd like to see us continuing to do more fun projects in the future, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can find our page linked in the description above all of our other social media links. And finally, if you'd like to keep up with the zany shenanigans of our lives and check out some more skit-based content and things like that, check us out on Twitter and TikTok, links in the description. And hey, thanks.